Welcome, everyone. This is Jean Voice Dart here with Courageous Creative Conquerors. And my guest today is Dr. Mary Welsh. And she is a remarkable soul with a really giving heart, doing so much for community, and has written many books and has a lot to offer us today. And Mary, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
It's a joy to have you here. And I would love for you to share what makes you a courageous, creative conqueror.
Wow. We're full of life experiences and each one teaches us a new lesson throughout life. And so had many ups and downs, just as everybody else has. But a few years ago, I was challenged. I lost my precious daughter, Susie. It's been 4 years now. And I'll never get over it, but how do I deal with it? How do I move forward? And how do I, take that spontaneity and that great personality she had and make sure that she made a difference and continues in the lives of all of us. So my courageous took me out of my comfort zone, and I started writing. I wrote about my grief journey. I started speaking. I started a nonprofit. So I'm out there every day. And so that's my creativity is writing and speaking, and my courageous is just getting out of that comfort zone and make it happen.
That's so beautiful. And we can see behind you all kinds of things, very interesting things for children. And one of the things that we can see very clearly is Susie Q Kids. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What you do with that?
So our first year, first birthday after Susie passed, everybody wanted to know what we were going to do. And I'm like, She smiled every day in life. So we're going to have a celebration of life. And so I told everyone, come, bring items, and we're going to make bags to give to foster kids, because she had a foster friend when she was younger. And so Susie Q's Kids, we create comfort bags, and we give them to children that are in hospitals and shelters and foster care, and those that are grieving the loss of a loved one. So it's our way to honor Susie that came out of that day, and we brighten and inspire the lives of children.
What a beautiful gift you have through that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And can you tell us a little bit about what you do with after Susie died and you started coaching immediately? Is that what you started doing, or how did all this come about with grief coaching?
Yeah. So, it's about talking to other people, and it's about sharing your story. And I was blessed with a wonderful therapist, and I would go and tell my story, and she would encourage me that I had a different outlook on life and that I could really help other people. And so she encouraged me to write my story, and I thought to myself, I'm a broken woman, the hardest part of my life, and you want me to write about it and talk about it. And in doing so, it gave me courage. It gave me a sense of hope and peace. And so I want to help other people. That's my goal, is to help other people to, go on their journey, whatever adversity that they're, dealing with, and make the day a little bit brighter. And so I started speaking and coaching as a result of writing the book and starting the nonprofit and talking to people.
So you mentioned that you wrote a book, and that just is how everything started, and you're coaching from that. And this is the book. It's a beautiful book. I have it. Journey into the Looking Glass.
Yeah. So it's finding hope after the loss of a loved one. And you can see my beautiful girl in the background on the cover there, just embracing life. But it's about my journey. And I always talk about the fog of grief, grief fog. And so the book is written in little snippets. It's like 2-3 pages with a little question or two at the end of it to really kind of think about it. So you can pick it up and put it down at any point in the book at any time. So it's not overwhelming, because if you pick up a book and you're not ready to, have that grief fog, it's a little hard to decipher it.
So you said you weren't really planning on writing a book, but you were encouraged to do that. As a child and growing up, did you write or write in a journal as an adult or young adult? Did you find that helpful to you?
I've done therapy in the past with different situations in life, and I've always kind of jotted down my notes, but never thought to write a book. It had never crossed my mind. Yeah.
Were you
So,
creative in other ways, like art and music or dance or theater or anything else? Poetry
well,
writing, photography or crafts or...
yeah. So I like to knit and crochet when I was younger. We've done stained glass as an adult. I've done stained glass, and I like to do a little bit of dabbing, and I love my garden. I've won awards for my garden and my
Oh my
mom's garden.
goodness.
Yeah. So it really, that's my landscape that I enjoy. And so if you ask me if I was creative, I would say probably not. But in thinking about it,
You
I
are
am. I
very
guess I would
creative.
say I am, at least in the garden.
Oh my goodness. Tell me about your garden.
Uh, right now, my garden has two main focal points in it, and one is my Susie garden. And so it's just perennials that just blossom all different all year long, statues, and it's my quiet space to contemplate with Susie. And then I lost my mom a year ago, and so I created the other side. She had moved in, and we had transplanted a lot of her plants and stuff. So that's mom's corner over there, so I can have a quiet space. I can go and talk to her as well. But we have a pool and all the fun things. So it's the focal point of the family. Everybody comes and hangs out in the backyard. So
Is
very
that
welcome.
something that your family growing up, your mother loved gardening as well, or father, or
She
yeah?
did. I can remember the lilac bushes and the peony bushes, and weeding in the garden with her when we were younger. My dad unfortunately passed when I was a young girl, so I helped a lot with the things around the house, and so I was very close with my mom. So yeah.
Yeah, I think these kinds of things are so nurturing to do these creative things with family growing up. And you
Hmm.
said you're knitting as well. Is that something that you learned from your mother or family or friends or
I
support
have
group or knitting group or...
I have a funny story. I made this huge queen size blanket for my mom, this comforter, and I would go in my room and I'd be working on it, and she'd say, "Oh, why don't you go outside, or why don't you do something?" And I'd like, "Oh no, I'm good." And then she got mad at me right before I got finished, and she was, "You need to go out." And I was trying to get this thing done, right?
Yeah.
So when I gave it to her, she looked at it, she goes, "That's why you've been in your room so much." And I said, "Yeah."
Oh, that's so
But
sweet. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it
Well,
was a lot of fun.
and I have some other books here from you that you did.
Yeah.
Did you just do all of this? You said you didn't really write before this, so you wrote all these books in a matter of what, 1, 2, 3 years? How?
It was basically about a year and a half.
Oh my goodness.
I wrote my grief journey, and as I was writing it, I realized how I had always approached life. I always approached life with the cup half full. It's always the positive aspect of life. And so I was trying to figure out how to continue that way, even with this big hole that was, overwhelming me with this loss. And I realized that the cup is always half full. It's really about how we look at it. So I created a journal to go with my book, and the chapters in my book kind of reflect on it. It's the 4 aspects of positive reflection. So it's Journey into the Looking Glass, the 4 aspects. And they're really talking about any adversity that you have, whether it could be loss of a child, loss of a loved one. It could be losing a home. It could be moving, losing a job, the death of an animal that's, one of your loved pets. Whatever your adversity is, we always need to remember the good, the bad, the indifferent about that person, place, or thing. And then the second aspect is really about reflecting on it. So why was it important and to you, and how was it important to them? And so, what did you take from that relationship? And then the third one is to recreate. And this is where I think we are all authors. We all have a choice in our life to go A or go B, so it's how we deflect and move
Yes.
throughout life to determine what the next chapter is going to be. And the next chapter sometimes contains the house or this job or the person that was in the previous chapter. And sometimes they just go away and then you never see them again. And other times they show up in another chapter later on in life. And sometimes they're static throughout the book. So we really are authors of our own life. And so how are we going to get over the what ifs and the could has and the should has that sometimes that overwhelming loss can dump on our shoulders? And so in my book, it just talks a little bit about that and goes into a little bit of detail how to change the perspective on that. And then the fourth aspect is really about relating, and that's 3-pronged. So what can you do for yourself? Self-care. You have to take care of ourselves, right? The second part is we have to help other people. And so for me, writing the books was helping other people.
Yes, definitely.
And then the third part is to give back in our community. So how are we going to help other people in the community? And so my nonprofit fit that. And so when I looked at what I was doing, it made sense. So my journal just asks you every day, what did you do for yourself and what did you do for somebody else? And if you can't answer both of those questions, you're dwelling too much on yourself or not enough, or too much on somebody else. And, so you just need to stop and think. And so it helps people kind of challenge that it's okay to take that moment or, take care of yourself or to take care of someone else.
You just really gave everyone listening a great gift right now, I think. Can
Mm-hmm.
you go over just those R's? Each one
Yep.
starts with an R. Is
Yep.
4?
There's
4.
the 4 aspects of positive reflection. So
Okay.
it's remember,
Remember,
reflect.
reflect,
So why was Susie important to me, and why was she important? Why was I important to her? Recreate. So
recreate,
be that author and make the next chapter okay. And then the last one is to relate. And it was really 3-pronged.
reach out to others.
Take care of yourself, others, and the community.
And I like what you said in your journal. You keep asking that question, what did you do for yourself? What did you do for others? And if you didn't, then you need to work on that. You need to try to do that because it's true. It makes us feel so good when we take care of ourselves, but not just take care of ourselves, just ourselves, but also give out to others. And I truly believe that's why we're here on this earth. We're here to learn how to receive and give.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have to do both. It's good if we can do both at the same moment, I think, at the same time. Thank you so much.
People will say, well, I can't think anything to do. And I'm like, to take care of yourself, go in the bathroom and take 5 minutes away from all of your family. Go outside and go for a walk. Pick up that book and just, sit there and smell the flowers around you. Just something. It doesn't have to be big and elaborate. It just has to be that you took a few minutes for yourself. And if you're all about yourself and you're not about helping anybody else, then you need to pick up the phone, make a phone call. You need to make some cupcakes and give them to your grandchildren or children the next day, or, walk outside and ask your neighbor how they're doing.
Or knit,
It
knit
could be
something
very
for your
simple.
mom or something.
Yes, just something for somebody else, right?
I'm just teasing you about your story. Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful thought. Thank you so much for that. So we've got the book and the journal and the book, and you were a busy bee, and these two children's books as well. Right?
So
Can you
they are
talk a little bit about that? Yeah.
sure. They're Susie Q's positive reflections. They also relate to um, those four aspects of positive reflection. And so I I have five grandchildren, and on the inside there's a question that each of my grandchildren are in there. And so they ask a question, and Angel Susie answers the question. So, who are we? This is just in describing him. And then you'll see Angel Susie saying, talk to me, I'm always with you. And there's different scenarios for different age brackets there, but it's really about dialogue. It's really about starting that story to, I call it weaving the story forward. So what memory or what thing did you do with your loved one that you want to do with your young children and your family? And so Susie was only, the youngest was 3 when Susie passed away. So what would they really remember? Probably not a whole lot, but they remember because of the stories and how you interject
Yeah.
the story into their life. And when you bake, you talk about the cookies that she used to like, or you incorporate the story forward, and it makes it more real for the children, and it helps them to cope with it.
I see. So you have to take action in remembering and reflecting and sharing these things as a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful. And I love the illustrations. They're just so pretty. They're so cute and special.
Yeah.
And the expression, there's a lot of emotional expression in here. It's really delightful.
It's really about documenting your stories. What are people telling you about your loved one, and jot it down. And so you can come back to it another time and kind of just relive it. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's take a look at your website here. Okay. We can see this. Where are you standing there? That's a beautiful photo. Is that near your home?
No, I I went to what do you call it? A seminar. I went for a 3-day seminar about learning how to tell my story, and how to market my story, and how to talk, and just kind of learn a little bit of what I was afraid to do. And so this was on the beach. They had at the country club that they had the seminar at, and I came home from it, and I was like, huh, I can do this. I can't, I
Oh,
do have a story, and I can tell my story, and I can help other people. So my journey of growth and passion and purpose, I asked for help along the way. And
yes.
so that was okay. We talk about the 4 aspects of positive reflection. If you go on my website and click that link right there, you'll be able to get a copy of that. And so to kind of give you a little bit more terminology and ideas to think about. But we're only a step away from our next journey, whatever that journey is going to take us to. And like I said, we're the
Oh,
author, right?
that's so beautiful. And thank you so much for freely giving this from your heart. You're giving this free copy of the 4 aspects. That's beautiful. And I love this photo because you said that's kind of like a turning point right there. There you are standing there and you're thinking, I can do this. I can do this. And you're giving that gift to everyone else just by looking at you right there. I can see that in your eyes. That's great. Let's go down here. So again, they just click on this right here.
Yep.
Yeah, let's go down. So there's a little bit about you. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, you have 6 children, husband, 6 children, 5 grandchildren. Your mother-in-law's, your world was shaken when you experienced the loss of your daughter. Can you tell us, you didn't really share, how did she die? What happened?
My daughter, she was 31. She was sick most of her adult life, so she was in and out of the hospital. She had a multitude of different things. Um, but she had an infection and went septic on us. She had gotten septic before being in the hospital and had beaten it, but this time it was just too much. And she we made a pact that if it was time to go, we would let her go. And
Mhm.
that, she would never, she was in a lot of pain. And, I always worried that she might take, steps into her own hand. And she said she would never do that. But if it ever came to a choice, that we needed to honor her choices. And so when they came back and said that it was life-threatening, she would never come off any machines. She would be, total vegetable. The choice was, there was no choice. So we stood around her bed and we sang "You Are My Sunshine,"
Oh,
and then just a few of us stayed after, and we let her go. And so she's with us every day, though. She really is. She's with us every day. And
she's probably dancing and smiling with all that you're doing with Susie Q's kids. Okay, so here it's telling who you are and your books, and they
yeah.
can order them right here. They click on the button, they go to, you said they go to Amazon.
In my children's books, we talked about the grief book, but the other one is a coloring book about um, positive characteristics to model. And really, the coloring book goes into all of my comfort bags and with Susie
Oh,
Q's, and the bags that go to grieving children also get the My Special Angel book. So that's my contributions to them.
here's a coloring book. Yeah, so there's,
Yeah, so it's different words in alphabetical order, and then different ideas and characteristics to follow.
so you're a really strong believer in the importance of support, friendship, family, others to be there for you and listen to you as you go through this process.
Yeah, some people aren't as comfortable talking, so you have to find that one person, or whatever that support team is. I had um, I have four sisters and two brothers, and so I made a pact with them and a couple of my friends and said, if I ever call and say, just talk to me, it's because I'm having a hard time and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of despair, I would call it. Because if I went down there, I could be there for days on end and not get over it. But if you talk to me and shared a story, or just brought up something to shift my mind a little bit, I still cried. I still had my
Yes.
emotions, but I was able to um, tackle it a little easier. And so those were a couple of the techniques that I personally used to help me get out of that negative zone.
And what would you say to someone who maybe, for example, a woman whose husband just died and she's all alone, an older senior woman, and she says, oh, I don't have any friends or family to talk to. I don't have anybody. Is that what you're offering here on your website, is a community? Is that right?
It's a community, yeah,
Mhm.
and if this isn't your forte, there's others out there as well, like Compassionate Friends. It has for any type of a loss. Someone that's lost their husband, you could be in a group with other widows or widowers, and you might find some commonality in some of the things that you're sharing with them. I have I lost a child and I lost my mom, so I could do from that perspective. I related in those types of group situations. So that's something to look at as well.
Here we go. You have a lot of really valuable information on here. It's great. Thank you so much for being such a giver. You're a true giver here. Okay.
So I talk about my Susie Q bag, right? And so in my bag we have like coloring books and crayons and markers and books, and we have Uno cards and Mattel cars to play with, different things like that, inspirational items. But our kids also get like a teddy bear. So here's this giant panda, and it's just soft and cuddly, and they get a blanket that they can wrap up in, and it's just enough to let them know that they're not alone. So that child that's in the hospital not feeling well, sometimes life-threatening situations, or they're in a shelter or foster care, they've been removed from their home and their situation that they're familiar with, or they're on a grief journey, they've lost someone, important in their life and don't know how to handle it. This is just our little way to give back and say, there's others out here that are thinking of them and they're not alone.
What a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
And is this something that just occurred to you immediately, or did a group of friends get together and influence you to do this with the gift bags? And how did all that come about?
Susie was in the hospital a lot, so she would color all the time. And she had the doctors, the nurses, the transport people, the cleaning people, the people delivered her food, her visitors. The walls were just covered with pages that had been colored. They would come in and bring their dogs on their off days and things to visit with her. She really made an impact. So we knew how much a teddy bear and a blanket and a coloring book could make a difference based on her hospital stays. She had a childhood friend who had a garbage bag full of items that were hers, and we followed her to 5 different foster homes, and the last home they wouldn't allow visitors, so we lost her. And so I knew the value of a foster child and the impact. And Susie used to donate time and bake sales and different things for a local shelter. So that was how the three of them came about: hospitals, shelters, and foster care. And then I deal with grieving families, so for children that are grieving, it just made sense. So that's where our focus for those 4 came from. But it really developed on that Celebration of Life Day when everybody brought items, and I got bags, and we made 50 bags and dropped them off to Big Family in Michigan, which is a local foster care agency, and they were blown away with the impact that those bags were going to make. And so that was the nugget that born the nonprofit.
So if they want to help out with the nonprofit, where do they go? This is a different page here.
Yeah, I believe on
I'll go back to the home page.
Yeah, on the home page, if you scroll down, you'll see the Susie Q. If you keep going after the books. Yep.
Here.
So that's my girl. That's my girl. You can, we were in the hospital in that picture, and she was dressed and ready to go. They were getting her out of the hospital, but you can donate right there. And if you want to learn a little bit more, you can click on that video, and it'll tell you a little bit about Susie Q. But
great.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. We're running out of time, and I bring it back to us. Here we are. Okay. Oh, this has been so great getting to know you and finding out what a creative, giving, loving person you are, and how others can donate to Susie Q's kids. I think that's great. Or you're encouraging them to go off on their own, create their own nonprofit, find ways to give. This is what it's all about, folks. And Mary Welsh is just really a fine example of that, of a courageous, creative conqueror. Thank you for being here. Do you have any final words for people in terms of how to live a happy life and be a creative, giving, loving person?
So I'll give you one technique from my book on the what if. The what if is a reflection of how we look at life. And so I challenge everybody to be more courageous and step out of their comfort zone in how they do it. So my what if is, what if, for example, I had taken my daughter to the doctors more? But I did. And she loved me and I loved her. And so every what if statement that comes up, I think to myself, but what did I do? But I did. What if? But I did. She loved me and I loved her. And you cannot walk away from that with a negative connotation. You flip the switch and make it more positive. So step out of your comfort zone and, just marvel in the memories of the person, place, or thing, from your past, and make your future a little bit brighter by having had that interaction.
Oh, that's such a great technique. I'm going to try that. I love that. Those what ifs can drive you crazy,
Oh,
Especially
absolutely.
something terrible happens. Well, what if I would have done this? I wish I would have done that. And to say, but I did. And then remember all the wonderful things that you've done.
Yeah.
Celebrate yourself, celebrate others. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. It's been wonderful. It's just, I enjoyed our time together.
I enjoyed it too. Bye, everybody. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. See you next time. Bye.